Um, Needless to say, it's important to strike the steel squarely. If you miss, you turn your fingers into hamburger. And we did that a few times. We learned the hard way. We drilled the first hole about a half a foot away from the vein, and it took us a couple of days to go in, maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet. We put the dynamite in, the fuse, cap, and lit it, and stepped outside the tunnel. And after the big explosion, we went back in, and all the beautiful ore that we had been looking at was gone. The explosion pulverized it, turned it to dust. So we lost all that beautiful ore. Well, it wasn't lost, it was all over the floor, but it was, you couldn't recover it. So we learned that hard lesson. The next time we drilled further back from the vein and put in half a stick of dynamite, and that worked beautifully. So we got some real good sized slabs of pure galena from the vein. The drill steel would last a few hours before it got so dull that it was useless. We had a friend in Kaslo who lived on Hogan's Alley. I think it's called Center Street now, but Billy McDonald, I think in his 80s, lived there, and he had a forge in the backyard. When he heard we were going to go mining, he said, "You boys bring your steel to me and I'll sharpen it up for you." Which he did gratis. He loved to get that forge going and get his face all black and pound away on the anvil. The one thing that we learned, I guess more than anything else, was a great appreciation for the pioneers that did this on a daily basis. We were just playing around. They were for serious. They had to produce something from their mines, because in those days there was no government bailout. Many of them spent much of their life times pounding that steel for very little. That summer, August the 4th, we had 1.5 inches of snow at the 8,000 foot level, and that sort of dampened our ardor a little bit. We realized we had to clean up pretty soon because winter was coming. The next day we were packing supplies in, and we came around a little bend, and there was our friend the grizzly bear right smack in front of us. And that was a bit of a surprise. I was in the lead, so I was closest to the bear, and the bear and I sort of eyeballed each other for a moment, and he gradually turned around and started moving away. So I thought I had won the staring contest, and I let out a yell for Jim to hurry up and come and see this. Well, I realized instantly that was the wrong thing to do. The bear didn't like me yelling, and he turned around and started coming toward me. Incidentally, this is above the tree line. It's bare rock up there, so there's no place to run or hide. I don't think we could have outrun him anyway. Fortunately, Jim kicked a few rocks, and the bear couldn't see him yet, so the bear realized there was somebody else coming and changed its mind and moved off. Not in a panic at all. He wasn't afraid of me at all. Anyway, we didn't hammer steel every day. On nice days up there, the scenery is magnificent. It's just beautiful up there. We would pack a sandwich and take off to explore other mines. The one that comes to mind is the Bluebird, which was a little further up the valley. And we went into the old cookhouse and found the tables were ready to be set. The calendar on the wall said October 1929. It looked like they'd left yesterday. There was a lot of machinery there, some of it still brand new in crates, but it indicated when the collapse came in the mining in the Kootenays. Anyway, near the first part of September, we cleaned up our clean ore. It was all hand sorted, no rock in it. Put it in jute bags, 200 pounds each bag, and we hired a fellow with a little tractor to drag 2 tons at a time on a sled down to the road at the Jackson Basin. We loaded it on the truck there and took it over to Trail, dumped it in a gondola car, put our name tag on it, and sat back and waited. Well, about 3 weeks later, we got a check in the mail, net, after the royalties had been paid, the smelter charges had been paid, and all taxes, of a little over $1,200, which for a couple of kids who didn't know what they were doing 2 months in the summer was a bonanza.
Pretty good.
But I stress that it was not the money that we got out of this, it was the experience and a new appreciation of our forebears and what they went through. And that's the story of the Tinkess Havercroft mining expedition.
That's great. Can I ask you, Havercroft, so we had a lady here, Lorraine.
Lorraine was his sister. She taught ballet in New York.
Yes.
She was a very accomplished ballet teacher.
Did they grow up here?
No. How they came here, their aunt, her married name was Creed, Mrs. Creed, lived at South Fork, which, as I said before, it could be called Nashton or Zwicky. It had 3 names. Anyway, the Creeds were packers in South Fork. They packed ore or packed supplies to all the mines in the Keene Creek area. There were 3 families in South Fork: the Creeds, the Hoopers, and the Bennetts. And other visitors came there too, but those were the 3 main ones. They did have a post office. But when Mrs. Creed died, she willed the property to the Havercrofts because that was her nephew. And that's how Jim came here in the first place. He came here after the war. He had been right in the thick of the fighting at the toe of Italy when the Allies landed at Salerno. And he had had enough excitement in that experience to last him a lifetime. And that's why he was willing to go with me on this crazy adventure in the mining business.
So, and the Bennett family, so there's Blaine Bennett.
That's right. And his father is Art Bennett.
Right.
And Art, I don't know if Arthur was born in South Fork or moved there at an early age, but he was just a youngster when the Bennetts lived there. I think his sister was postmistress for a time.
So when Sandon had 5,000 people, what would a Kaslo have?
I am guessing that it would be about the same. Kaslo was the supply center for the mines in the Kaslo Ainsworth mining divisions, and I guess Lardo too. The Lardo mining division depended on Kaslo for their supplies. Yeah.
I can't remember if we talked about this last time, but your grandfather was the first person of your family to be here?
My grandfather, Tinkess, came here from Central Butte, Saskatchewan about 1920.
Oh, right.
And his house is still standing at the south end of 8th Street, where Mr. Quinby lives now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.